Hello friends, it's me, and today let's talk about TikTok filter. Let's check out. I tested TikTok's viral makeup filter. Does it work? From the style tiers. Together, let's go. Let's start.
Alert! A new TikTok trend just dropped.
If your makeup doesn't look good for some reason, you are not doing your makeup according to your contrast level.
Apparently, you're doing your makeup wrong if you're not basing it on your contrast level.
Your contrast level.
But does contrast really make a difference? You are about to find out.
Hey, style theory.
Hello Internet, welcome to Style Theory, the channel that never fails to level up your beauty skills. If you've been on TikTok lately, you've likely heard of the latest craze taking over the clock app.
Contrast.
This is Eleanor, the French makeup artist turned creator who's the reason this trend is taking over our feeds. Yes, she created the now iconic contrast filter. The goal here is to find your personal contrast level, which we briefly talked about in a previous episode. However, this is taking it to a whole other level. The trend claims that your contrast level can help you find the makeup that looks best on your face. But here's the thing, I'm not sure I believe it. So I am once again volunteering my body, or in this case my face, to science. Will using contrast to control my makeup actually give me a better result than if I go against my contrast type? Or will we prove that, in the end, it doesn't even matter? Get ready, theory.
In the end, it doesn't even matter. I have to.
And prepare to follow along because not only am I testing this today, you'll leave this episode with the skills to try it yourself. Let's take a closer look at the filter that started it all. It's pretty simple. You pick your skin tone. From there, I get 3 options: high, medium, and low. And no other information. No tea, no shade, there's only so much information you can pack into a filter. But it's left more than just me with more questions than answers. So what's going on here? It's about a term called color value, which is not a tier ranking list for every color, though we can all admit that purple is like S tier, right? Anyway, color has 3 key traits. First is hue, which is a color's basic color. This is where on the color spectrum that your skin, hair, and eyes tend to fall. Then there is saturation, which, as you can guess, is how intense that color actually is. This is also sometimes referred to as chroma. These 2 traits usually take top billing when it comes to makeup. Beauty gurus are always raving about shades and pigmentation, and rightly so. But for today's test, we actually want to focus on the final trait, value. A color's value shows how much white or black a color contains. Colors with a higher level of white have a higher color value. As an example, let's bring back that purple. If we add more white, we get lavender, which has a higher color value than its base hue. If we do the opposite and add in more blacks, we get a plum or a raisin, which has a lower color value. Now, here's where it gets tricky, so pay attention. A high or low color value doesn't make you have high or low contrast. They're not correlated. It's actually about how the individual values of 4 key traits, your hair, your skin, your eyes, and your eyebrows, all interact. Or rather,
Wait a minute. What if you wear contact lenses? Okay, I wear spectacles, but what if you wear contact lenses? It's not always the same. You dye your hair. Now that's a different situation as well.
how they all contrast. This is easiest to see if you take a photo of yourself and desaturate it into a grayscale, as you see in the filter. This makes it easier to see your features' true values. If you have a deeper skin tone or hair color, like say a dark brown or black like my hair, you fall into a low color spectrum. On the other hand, if your skin tone or hair is lighter, like say a shade of blonde, you fall into that high color spectrum. And if you sit in the middle, you have a medium value. Now, all of that sounds a little complicated, but it's really not. Let's take a look at my example again. My hair and eyebrows are low value, while my skin is high value. And then looking at my eyes, you would expect that since they're green, they are high value, but they are actually a darker shade of green, which actually makes them low value. Color me surprised. This means that my features sit on the two extreme opposite ends of that color value spectrum, which makes me high contrast, according to the filter. If you happen to be unsure of your own results, you can also do the same thing by taking a well-lit selfie and desaturating it in a program like Photoshop. This can sometimes be more accurate than using a filter. But after all of that, I still have to ask, does it actually matter? Now that we all have our contrast type, we can Oh, sorry, 1 second. Hey Amy, you just won a prize. Please respond with your address and credit card information to cover shipping. I hate these spam texts. I mean, like, how do they even get my number? I wish I could find a way to make them delete it. Oh wait, there is. Thanks to our sponsor Incogni, taking back my information has never been easier. We all get those spam emails and texts and calls that just never seem to end. But those companies hate to see Incogni coming. Incogni lets you sit back and relax as they do all the hard work for you. No more trying to track down the shady data brokers holding your data hostage or dealing with the legal runaround. Incogni handles all of it. Remember that spam text? I signed up for one store reminder and suddenly I was flooded with calls and emails. And while it may just seem annoying and inconvenient, that was me being lucky. When your information is out there for anyone to find, it can get a lot more serious. I first used Incogni when my dad and grandma started getting calls from people claiming to have my personal information. It was scary. So I used Incogni to get my information deleted from all those dark corners of the internet. They kept me up to date on their progress until all of my data was safe. And you can start taking back your data by going to incogni.com/styletheory and using code StyleTheory at checkout to get 60% off their annual plan. This is an offer that's exclusive to you style theorists. Once again, that's incogni.com/styletheory with code StyleTheory at checkout to get 60% off. Thanks again to Incogni for sponsoring this episode. Now, why are we starting low when I'm supposed to aim high? Contrast, that is. We're doing this to see if this trend actually works. And to do that, we need to try them all. That way we can compare and contrast all of our results. Not only will this show whether or not, say, low contrast makeup works on a high contrast person, it will also give you theorists the tools to test these looks on your own. We love a multi-purpose episode. Good examples of a low contrast person are your Taylor Swifts or your Beyoncés, at least Blonde-Beyoncé. Once we convert their photos to grayscale, it's easier to see that there isn't much contrast between their key features. According to TikTok and other beauty experts, low contrast makeup should be soft and ethereal and look very natural. You know, that no makeup look, the one that has people crying witchcraft and asking you for your skincare routine. But this category's red flag is that it's very easy to go too far real quick.
Here she has some low intensity makeup, whereas here she has very harsh makeup, very dark, very intense, and it doesn't suit her.
This means sticking closely to makeup colors that hit that natural, neutral tone that mirror the upper and undertones of your skin. Think your pinks, your browns, and your yellows. A little blush can help accentuate your features, but you want to keep it in line with your skin's color value. That means that this category should avoid heavily saturated colors, as well as ones that fall into that very dark, very low color value. Mascara is okay for this round to help your eyes stand out from the rest of your features, as is a little bit of contouring. But you should be going easy on the bronzer. So let's take a look at how this low contrast makeup looks on my high contrast face. I followed the guidelines to a capital T, and not gonna lie, it's not my favorite look I've ever done. My skin looks a little washed out, and the pale colors leave me looking sickly instead of sickening. But let's compare that to my usual everyday makeup. Which one do you think suits me better? Keep that in mind as we turn up the dial all the way to high. This category is for all the people out there like me that break the auto exposure feature on every camera. Oopsie, I'm sure we have the warranty sitting around here somewhere. I'll have Justin find it. Anyway, high contrast means that
Okay, sorry Justin, sorry.
the value difference between our key features is very, very drastic. Other examples of a high contrast person, besides yours truly of course, include Olivia Rodrigo and Billie Eilish, sans her happier than ever era. The goal for this look is to bring more balance to our very extreme face. There are two ways to do a high contrast face. One is to lean into the intensity and go bold. This tends to lean more towards a full glam type of appearance with a dark smoky eye and a bright saturated lip, typically within the red family. Blush is also a big factor here, as it can help even out that contrast difference between your skin and your hair. Two popular styles that do this extremely well are the smudgy eyes of the Italian beauty trend and the defined eyeliner and rouge lip pairing of the French beauty trend. I guess Europe just really likes high contrast. Here is how this intense style looks on my high contrast face. Now, if I'm being honest, this feels like a slightly more exaggerated version of my everyday makeup look. Overall, it feels very flattering, if just a little bit over the top for an everyday kind of feel. Which brings me to option number 2. This is the high contrast version of that no makeup look from the last round. This option aims to soften our natural intensity rather than emphasize it. For this one, you'll want to avoid concealer and mascara, which can actually make your high contrast feel even more intense, and instead lean into a matching lip and blush color.
Add a bit of red or medium intensity lips and cheeks. It can soften the contrast.
For eyes, just keep it simple. We want to use minimal dark neutral tone shadows that accentuate the shape without drawing attention. Here is how that version of a soft contrast makeup looks on my face. Again, this feels very similar to my everyday makeup routine, just without my normal eyeliner. Which is interesting, right? Because it means I've naturally leaned into this high contrast look without ever realizing it. Let's take a look at all of our contrast makeup looks so far. Looking at these results, it really does seem that this contrast trend has a point. The high contrast makeup does suit me better than the low contrast. But next up is the hardest round yet. One that will either make or break this trend for good. Why did we save this one for last? Because theorists, I have something to admit. I have been lying to you. I dye my hair. It's shocking, I know, I am not a natural goth. But like many other examples we have in this episode, our contrast levels can change if we change our natural hair or eyebrow colors. The same thing can happen if your skin naturally darkens from sun exposure, or if it lightens from, well, lack of sun exposure. All that to say is that naturally I would fall into this category, medium contrast. So we are going to see right here, right now, if our natural contrast makeup can still look good if we artificially alter our contrast level. Medium contrast makeup means you only have
Okay, I like it that Amy is being so truthful with us, honest with us, and genuine with us. It's like, hey, this is who I am, but we can artificially create something new.
light value differences between your key features. This is your Zendaya or your Sabrina Carpenter. Like it says on the tin, this category is meant to go for a medium intensity makeup, with slightly more value and saturation than your low contrast people, but not as in your face as the high contrast, which means that you get to steal all of the best parts of the other two categories. Talk about a win-win. For lips, you want to go a little darker than your natural color. This will bring them up to the intensity of your darker features. Lighter reds, pinks, and berry-colored lipsticks are going to be your friend here. And this category should also invest in blushes.
If you're medium contrast, you want to go for a blush that's about 2 to 3 shades darker than your natural skin tone.
And hey, if you're feeling just a little spicy, you are free to add in some bronzer. You can also go ham on your eyes, bringing in mascara, eyeliner, and darker neutral shades. This will help keep your eyes from disappearing into the medium wasteland of your face, and let them hold their own with your other low-value features. However, be careful, because the red flag here is that if you choose colors that are too soft and too natural, you'll end up looking washed out instead of glowed up. Here is how I look with a medium contrast makeup, aka my natural contrast level if I didn't dye my hair like a 2010s emo kid. Now, this can be a little bit subjective, so make sure that you leave your thoughts in the comments below. But based on these results, it looks like the medium contrast makeup works alright on my high contrast face. In fact, when it comes to a simple, everyday look, this looks just as natural on me as the low intensity, high contrast makeup. When you put all of the looks side by side, one thing really stands out: the low contrast makeup. It is the outlier here, which makes sense. No one would ever call me a low intensity person in any sense of the word. But is using contrast really the best way to do your makeup? Yes, if you're looking to do a natural, neutral look. When you take a look at all of the TikTok creators jumping on this trend, they all have one thing in common. They are staying in the neutral lane. You are not going to find any wild colors or alternate scene type beauty here. So if you want to look like, say, Chapel Roan, this trend is probably not going to help you achieve that goal. However, even if natural makeup isn't your thing, it does teach you two skills that you can take into any look. First, it teaches you how to understand the most prominent features on your face, the ones that pop and draw attention naturally. Then it shows you how to emphasize or de-emphasize those features, depending on the end result that you want to achieve. Those skills can help with any look that you want to do. So, if you want to try this at home, make sure to tag me and the Team Theorist Instagram or the Style Theory official TikTok so we can compare our results. And who knows, maybe with our powers combined, we'll create the next big makeup trend to take over all the feeds. But hey, that's just a theory. A style theory. Keep looking sharp. Did you know that McDonald's and Chipotle made makeup? Click the box on the screen for one wild ride. And I'll see you next Saturday morning.
Alright, I saw the meme just now. It's
Looking sharp. Did you know that
yeah, the
create
meme
the next big makeup trend to take over all the feeds? But hey, that's just
me without contrast makeup. Me with contrast makeup. But hey, that's just a theory. A style theory. Keep looking sharp. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Thank you so much. Subscribe. Thank you. Touch my heart. Truly, thank you all so much. I think